Today on CJ Off-Road, we're going to help our JL breathe a little easier with the help from Injen. If you're looking to get some more performance out of your Jeep JL, today we're going to be installing this Injen PowerFlow Cold Air Intake featuring the Wrinkle Black induction tube and an oiled filter onto our 2018 JL Wrangler. This Injen Cold Air Intake includes everything that you need to get it bolted up on your 3.6 liter equipped JL Wrangler. It features a T6 6061 mandrel-bent aluminum induction tube as a wrinkle black powder coat, and then that's topped off with their oiled cotton filter, which is going to let air in, keep all the mud and water out. Everything that you need is included with this kit, and it's also available with a polished induction tube and a dry filter. Now with that being said, we're going to get it installed on our two-door JL Wrangler and see how it performs. Tools you need for this installation: 1/4 inch ratchet, 8mm socket, 10mm socket, trim removal tool, and a small pair of pliers. We're at the front end of our JL, and before we can install our new Injen Cold Air Intake, we're going to remove the factory intake system. The first step of the removal process is to remove this breather hose right here by depressing on this gray section and pulling towards the firewall. Just pop right out. Next, remove the two 10mm bolts holding on this factory induction tube. To remove the temperature sensor here, what we're going to do is just lightly twist it counterclockwise with an adjustable crescent wrench and pull it straight out. Just be very careful with these. They're plastic, don't put too much pressure on them or they will break. From the inside here, just gonna grab a hold of it. Twist it lightly counterclockwise, then you can do it by hand. Just breaking it free in the beginning, and then just slowly rock it back and forth, and it'll pull right out. Remove the two push pins holding it on here. And just set the sensor aside in a safe spot. There's another push pin that actually holds onto your factory intake that you have to remove before you can get it out. It's right behind here. I've got the trim removal tool on it. Just pop it up. Up by the throttle body, there's going to be an 8mm bolt that holds on this band clamp from the soft part of your induction tube. Use an 8mm socket to get it pulled off, or you can use a flathead screwdriver. Don't fully twist it off, just enough to loosen it up so you can get this off your throttle body. The last bolt holding this intake on is going to be this 10mm here over on the passenger side fender. Once again, just pull that out. Once it's free, we'll now be able to remove the entire intake. Now over here, it's actually stuck in through these rubber grommets. Give it a nice pull. Just kind of work on it a little bit, and it'll pull right out. The first step of this is actually going to be to grab your oiled filter and put it inside of this housing. Now it actually twists in and locks in there, making it a really nice feature to have. Just gonna go ahead and put it in there. And now there's little corners on that'll actually go into the slide. You'll feel it go in there all the way, and then turn it. And it drops in. You actually feel it drop in a little bit, and now this will not pull it out. You can clearly still see it through this window right on the side, and we can now put the tube in the Jeep and keep rolling with the install. We're going to now install this bracket here onto our intake box. Now you've got to be careful when you do it. At this end of this bracket, there's offset holes. So one's at the top and one's here at the bottom. We're going to twist it with that offset hole at the top, pick this up, and it's actually going to mount just like that using the supplied bolts. We'll get it bolted down, and as you can see, the holes line up. If I can hold it straight, and right there, they're good to go. We'll put the hardware in there and then put the bracket on the bottom and get those bolts mocked up. Just get them started by hand. Then they're actually going to use a 10mm socket to get them tightened up. Okay, now we're going to turn it over, put some hardware on the bottom here. The rubber pieces here are going to go up from underneath in through and then get a washer and a nut. This is actually what's going to fall into that bracketry that's underneath where your factory airbox went. Just slide it in, put a washer and the flange nut onto it. We'll get it snugged up. Use a ratchet to get it fully tightened up. We're going to put two of them on here. Place your intake box into place by pushing it into the factory location to the grommets, and it'll freely stand a little bit, kind of fall a tad bit, but we're going to put that tube in, as well as get some clamps up on this throttle body next. Slide 2 clamps over here, and then we're going to put this right over the factory throttle body. Push it all the way to the edge. Make sure it goes underneath too. Get the clamps to both edges. Now we can go get our intake tube. Grab your induction tube and use the provided grommet to place in this hole here. Work its way around until it's fully seated. You can actually feel inside the tube. Make sure it's all the way good to go. This is where your temperature sensor is going to go. Make sure it's nice and tight and a good seal. Before you can put the tube into place, make sure you slide a band clamp over this end. Then we're going to actually put it onto the intake side, right onto the throttle body, and get it pushed all the way in. Now we can push it down over their new filter. Get it fully seated. Get the band clamp up top here, fully into place. I can get them all tightened down. You're just going to use an 8mm socket to get them tightened up, or a flathead screwdriver. You can also reinstall the temperature sensor at the same time. To reinstall the temperature sensor, basically just twist it in very gently. Make sure that that grommet doesn't go inside. There you go, it's fully seated. Reattach the breather hose simply by sliding it over, and you'll hear it click. Now you can tighten down the last band clamp. Once that's fully tightened up, your installation is complete. That wraps up the installation of this Injen PowerFlow Cold Air Intake onto our 2018 JL 2-door. And honestly, this is a really nice intake kit for you. It's going to increase the horsepower and torque of your Jeep. According to them, almost 11 foot-pounds of torque and 9 horsepower, so not bad. The install was super simple. It took about 2 hours, and before you know it, you'll be back on the trail. Hope you enjoyed that video. To stay up to date on our CJ Off-Road videos, make sure to subscribe up top here. And for any other installs, make sure to click the link right above.